how does one master astral travel, internal travel to and from the vortex, okay? Now, here's the thing about this. If you're having trouble paying your rent, it could be very difficult to master the astral travel in the vortex. What I'm saying is, just to be very clear, is when we're asking to do these kind of things, I can tell you that for most people, when they get into that space, they would feel extremely uncomfortable with that kind of thing. They would go through a process that first would feel like death. And if they didn't try to bring themselves back to life and they allowed that feeling to go through and realize you don't breathe on the astral plane, then they would make it into a space. And then from that space, you need to be able to know how to bring up the symbols that correspond to where you're traveling and where you're going, which are vibrations, right? So even when we're saying to travel from the vortex, this is almost like it's us reading certain books or listening to certain people, and then we just say, well, I'm just going to travel the vortex. And this is just like saying, well, I'm just going to travel Earth. Well, like what part of Earth? There's Chicago, there's Mogadishu, there's different parts. And then not to mention, where are you going? Why do you need to go there? Why do you want to travel into this space? So it first starts with to get to this level, because this is like more of ordainment from yourself. It's when you decide, your higher self says you're ready to start making these travels. And before then, what you're doing is you're going through a process of coming into balance with yourself. I can't stress this enough. If you're still saying things like, I hate them, I can't believe they're doing that, they shouldn't be. When you're still in that field, you still haven't solved the two serpents, as I mentioned before. You haven't diffused them yet. And so thus, this kind of energy of traveling into other spaces, it can't turn on. It's like half of you will get stuck on this side, and that's the half that would be like your perception of things. So you would go into a space as if you would be there, but you would have no perception that you were there. This is like going into a dream, and then when you wake up, you don't even remember the dream, because half of you was here and half of you was experiencing the dream. So that half of us that we generally need to activate has to do with the understanding that what we call dark or what we call negative is not what we call evil or distorted. What we call dark and what we call negative is not the same as what we call evil and distorted. And what this means is negative is a pole on the battery. Dark is what happens at night, which is a very generative process. If it was sun out all day, people would not get any sleep. So in a Catholic state of mind, as I mentioned, in a binary state of mind, is always let me find the good one and let me find the bad one. And what that then does is it doesn't allow the systems to come together and to unite, so there can be no travel. So there's a process. It's a process that one has to go through to finally get to the stage of being able to say, yes, I'm truly out of judgment and focusing on myself. Because remember, and I'm going to turn this on over here so I can do some scrolling the questions inside of YouTube. So you hear something real quick, but now I have a scroll bar. So it's that. Let me move these closed captions. It's us getting to the ability of being able to fess up to ourselves that some of the things that we're asking for is way up there to where we're asking from where we're at right now. And it's a good idea to climb the ladder. Like we have in the Ascent series, you start off in the netherworld, getting humiliated because people are not even respecting you and, not even giving you the credit that you deserve. So now you have no choice but to load back up and go in yourself and drop a lot of weight, getting rid of people that are around you that are not allowing you to vibrate in the pace that you need to be vibrating at. They're always going to be with you within, but externally they may need to, get up out of here. I gotta get to something else. And then you start walking up the ladder of learning who these entities really are, these energies really are, because they're inside of you. Then you're developing a relationship with yourself. People think they know themselves, but they don't know what they would even be knowing. So it's like identifying, what are you knowing? What is it to know the heart? What is it to know your spleen? But more importantly, what is it to know the elements in your body, the fire, the earth, the water, how to elicit the kind of feeling that connects with that energy, how to identify that energy inside of you. because that's your rudder. That's your thing that you're using, your joystick, if you may. That's what you're using to steer yourself through into this travel. But it's not like, oh, I'm flying over here now. It's more like I'm projecting into this space about this thing. So you move with purpose. You don't just show up there like, okay, what are we going to do today? It's more of like, this is what I'm going to do. This is how you know, okay, here's another a gym. Here's a gym that will solve it a little bit more clearly for you. The alphabet, the letters of power in the alphabet are the vowels. The letters that hold the energy of the power of the vowels are the consonants. How you know that is you cannot say any consonant for a prolonged period without putting your throat in, under some type of strain. Every consonant needs a vowel to continue it. So let's take an example. Let's take the word B. If you made the sound of the B, it would be P, and you're done. To keep extending it, you need the E. B. And when one is doing that properly, you feel your chest, your heart vibrate, your solar plexus, all the way up to your throat vibrate, all the way up into the tip of your head and your crown chakra vibrate. It's a series of vowels and consonants that make a vessel in order to be able to bring something into the space, because every tone and vibration that's brought into the space has life, especially when it's spoken from a mouth that has power and that power does not come back void. But if you run out all your power in conflict and you don't know how to sustain that, then you don't actually have the life force that's necessary to manifest the things that you're vibrating. So just in that awareness that there's one that's the power and there's the other that holds the power, you are once again taken to the symbol of the yod and the he by itself. There is that active principle, which is energy that fills everything, but it by itself, it has no containment. Energy can fill everything, but by itself, it has no containment. It needs a container. It needs a vessel. So the consonants are the vessels. So with this awareness, you can see then that if you don't know that, here's another thing about things you don't know, because of course, the community has gotten super cocky. They know everything, right? Yeah, you know everything. You knew it from birth. You don't need a teacher. More mind control. It's just more mind control. The reality is that, yeah, but knowing everything, like, it's a lot. And when it needs to be recalled, some of us may forget exactly what needs to be recalled, right? What word needs to be resaid. You're running around calling yourself by one syllable names. Frank. You see what I mean? It's like, where's your power at? So if you don't know about it, so let's say, for instance, with 3D printing. If you don't know anything about 3D printing, I can put you right in front of a 3D printer and no telling what's going to happen. Here's a better example. If there's this spot that's on the beach and it's actually this beach, nobody's there, and it's amazing. There's even some fruits on the beach and coconuts on the beach. But if you don't know how to get there and you don't know how that it even exists, does it make a difference to you? No, you don't know how to get there. You don't even know that it exists. But does it exist? Yes. So this is what I'm getting you to realize. Just like you can't see the internal organs in your body, but they exist, so too there's another thing that you can't see, but it exists. And it's very important for us to come into the awareness of that and start compensating for the unseen. Because then when we're doing that, then we come in for the tutelage. We come in not thinking that we know everything, but we're here to actually learn something and say, okay, let me learn that step by step. And then what we did was we put together the university, the first university. Let me mute my line. We put together the first university, the stuff that's there now, for that very reason.